Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a zoo. This is the main entrance of the zoo. Here we have two ticket booths and a really awesome sign. The first enclosure that we have is polar bears. We have an ice cream stand. We have a reptile house, which doesn't really have too many reptiles. We have axototls, bats, a shulker, we have frogs, and where are my silverfish? We also have a hot dog stand, turtles, a cotton candy stand, an ocelot enclosure, goats, a llama. It was llamas before the accident. Pandas, we also have an aviary with a bunch of parrots. This may be my favourite part of the zoo. It's kind of fun just to sit and chill here. We also have a fox enclosure. We have striders featuring one of the strider's friends, Barry. And lastly, we have some wolves. Oh, don't forget the balloon stand. Hang on a second, how did you get out? Like and subscribe? What a weird name for a goat. Anyway, let's get started. This is the amount of space required to make your zoo. And here are all of the materials that we are going to need to begin with. However, as we progress through this tutorial, we will be grabbing more and more chests filled with materials. But I will let you know well in advance what we need. Begin by placing a row of 20 terracotta in a row on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Place a blue concrete on the end and extend forwards by 3. 1, 2, 3. Then extend to the right by 3. 1, 2, 3. Then leave a gap of 2 going right and place a brick. Leave another gap of 2, extending right and place 4 blue concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then extend backwards by 3. 1, 2, 3. Then extend to the right by 23 using terracotta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We now want to extend backwards by 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. We then want to extend across the back of the build by 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, we want to begin extending towards the front of the build, and the way that we are going to do this is dig forwards in the ground by 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, stick a terracotta in the 10th row, extend a row of terracotta from the side, join it together, and then fill this area in here with terracotta, and here we have the outline for one enclosure. We are going to make this entire row enclosures. They are all the same size. We will add the details to them later, but they all begin by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stick a terracotta in there, extend it from the side, and then fill it in. So we simply have to repeat this until we eventually can't place any more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And last but not least, this should be a row of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. It's always a little nerve-wracking when you get to the end and you're not sure if it's going to line up properly, but it has. So, we have 7 perfectly spaced enclosures running up the right side of the build, which means we can now come all the way back to the very back of the zoo and continue extending this row of terracotta all the way across and joining to where we first started. So we essentially want to make a giant rectangle. So far, we should have something which should look exactly like this. We are now going to start marking out some of the other enclosures and exhibits. Come all the way to the front middle of your zoo, where we have placed these bricks, and extend these bricks backwards by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can even place oak leaves on top of them if you like. Behind the bricks in the ground, we want to dig a row of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and stick a light grey concrete in there. Dig 4 rows to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then dig in one, right one, and then up by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dig left, up, and then left by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dig forwards, left, forwards by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, down, and then just connect back. This will give us a circular shape, which we want to fill the outside of this in using light grey concrete. We then want to extend the light grey concrete up a row. We then want to place a stone brick wall on the corners of the circle. I did just say that. And then we want to place iron bars on the remaining sides of the circle, with a lantern placed on each one of the 4 inward corners, like this. So from here, we are going to dig out the center of the circle. Just like this. And then we actually want to dig it out again, but this time with the purpose of replacing the dirt layer with white wool. You can also use snow or ice or a mixture of the two. However, I have had bad luck with ice and snow. They always seem to melt. I don't know what the problem is. So, now that we have added the layer of white wool, we want to locate the center of the circle. It should be fairly easy to find. We then want to add a ring of white wool around the center of the circle, and then extend the sides of the square that we have created outwards. This is a really fast way of making a circle. We then want to add a mixture of white wool on top of this, but we also want a little bit of glass. So instead of using ice, you can substitute with some light blue glass block. It's up to you. I mean, the ice and the snow do look better, but if you have a problem with melting, this is probably the way to go. Now, once you have done this, we can grab some water and we can essentially make a nice little island. I think I would actually prefer my island to float, so I'm only going to have one layer of water. I think it'd be a mistake to make it nice and even, so I think that looks really good. If you wanted to, you could even add something underneath the glass layer to kind of contrast a little bit. I mean, maybe even the blue concrete might look good. I don't know about that. Maybe something like diorite might work better because it kind of looks like packed ice in some sort of way. Probably not polished diorite, but you guys get the idea. We'll alter that later when we actually put Mr. Polar Bear in here, but that is roughly what we want to have for now. Next, we want to find the center of the back of our circle, and we want to dig 13 rows in the ground moving backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We then want to place a jungle plank here, and then extend to the right in the ground 3. So 1, 2, 3. We then want to extend back, right, and then back by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then left, back, and then left by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dig forwards, left, forwards by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, down, and then dig back and connect like this. We then want to fill this gap in using jungle planks. We now want to raise up the sides of this. So by the sides, I mean the right side here. Starting here, we want to place a row of 4 jungle planks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we essentially just want to extend backwards and fill this side and the opposite side in with the planks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we are going to grab glass block and we are going to place glass in equal amounts on top of the remaining layer of jungle planks that we have built into the ground. What we then want to do is dig out a row right in the middle of essentially what this is. I'm really hoping that this is what it's called. Please feel free to fact check me. Is an aviary. Basically, it's an enclosure for birds that they can just like fly around and be happy in. So, we are going to place a horizontal row of smooth stone, cutting this area in half. We then want to dig forwards and backwards from the middle 3 blocks like this, and replace these in the ground using smooth stone. We're then going to dig the remaining area out and replace it using lime terracotta. We then want to dig a row in the sides so that we are able to place a door, and we also want to have some smooth stone like here and here like this, and we'll place a door on both sides, kind of like facing outwards like so. We also have to make a little chamber that will separate the birds and kind of like the outside of the zoo. It's almost like an airlock. So we want to, leaving a gap of 1 from the door on both sides here, we want to place a row of 1, 2, 3 jungle wood, and then we will place a glass, and then there will be a door, but we also need to place something underneath the door, so I'm just going to preemptively place some stone here. So door, glass, and then jungle wood like this, extending back, and then we just want to essentially extend up. We actually, we can have glass on the front also, but that means that we've got to dig into the ground and replace with jungle planks, and we can have a 2x2 square of glass like this. It looks a little bit better in my opinion. And then we essentially just need 2 rows like this, and from here we can add a layer of spruce slabs all the way around the top of this. So this is going all the way around the top edge of the outside like so, and then we can add a layer of spruce planks on top of the actual solid blocks of the room, and then last but not least we can kind of just like fill the center of the top of the roof in using spruce slabs like this. So that looks pretty good. And what we can then do is add a little bit more detail to this by adding, say, like a spruce fence here, for instance, and then like a lantern on the corner, spruce fence. So lanterns on the corner with like spruce fence on either side, it just makes it look a little bit better, in my opinion. And we want to do the same thing on the opposite side anyway. So on this opposite side here, we leave a gap and then we want to place, so we need to dig 2 rows on both sides in the ground like this to facilitate a 2x2 row of glass. Jungle planks on the end, and then we'll have to dig into the ground. And how did we have it on this side? So we just have smooth stone instead of the jungle wood, which is perfectly acceptable if you ask me. So smooth stone for the inside of this little chamber right here. Spruce door, glass, and then we can just place the spruce planks first because I think it makes it a little bit easier. Fill the top in using these spruce slabs. Spruce slabs around the edge of the planks that we have just placed. Then we can have a spruce fence on the corners with a lantern in the middle. And this is working rather nicely. Let's take a little look at this. So there we go. That's looking really good so far. Now, the next thing to do would be to add a layer of spruce planks on top of the center circular shape of the aviary. So on top of the glass and the jungle plank layer like this. Then we are able to add spruce stairs around this. So this is going to give it a little bit of a shape. They want to connect together in the corners nicely so that it all flows rather well together. Perfect. And then from here, we want to add a layer of glass block on top of the planks. Then we are going to add a layer of glass all the way around the inside of this. So this is above and inside of the layer of glass, like so. And then we are going to add another one, and then from here we can decide whether it's enough. So I think that this might be the last layer of glass, because otherwise it's going to peak a bit much. I think that that looks good. If we were to add another one, I think it would look a bit too peaky, so we are just going to add some glass paint just on the top there, and now we can fill this in. So now that we have completed the general building of the aviary, we can now head inside and add some detail. So first of all, we will add a jungle fence right in the middle with a jungle slab on top of it, jungle signs surrounding this, and this is just going to be a stand/feeder. We are going to have a couple more of these, but in a different form. So one, we are going to have front diagonally placed from this one, and it's just going to be a jungle trapdoor on top of a jungle fence, and then behind this to the left diagonally we'll have a couple of fence on top of each other with a jungle trapdoor. We are also going to suspend vines all over the place, and we can kind of just leave them in those patches and they will do what vines do. We are going to add a couple of item frames on the floor with different kinds of seeds in them, and we are rapidly approaching the point in which we can just add a fence or a trapdoor off to the side just as a little stand, and then we can kind of leave the aviary as is. So now if we just walk out, we close the doors, we will be able to place some birds in there, which we will of course do a little bit later because we do not want... This place will get so loud and so crazy if we start placing all of the animals too prematurely, So before we move on, we have to do a little bit of landscaping. Let's start on the front of the aviary. So we are going to dig in the ground around the shape of the aviary like this. And then we are going to dig one row further down and replace this layer of blocks that we have just dug out with lime terracotta like this. And I'm quickly noticing that in certain places we are going to have to place some jungle planks. But once we've done this one layer, we then want to dig all the way around the outside of the lime terracotta layer like this, and then we want to dig this out one row further and then place more lime in there. We now want to do this one more time, however, we want to dig around the outside edge of the lime terracotta like this, and we have already done it on this side a little bit for some odd reason, but we want to dig around the outside edge of the lime terracotta, so these should actually be like grass blocks here, and then we want to place oak leaves around the second layer of the lime terracotta in the ground. So that seems a little bit complicated, but it just ends up looking like this, and it's just kind of cool because we can have some benches here, and it's just a nice little buffer between the birds and everything else. So if we come to the opposite side, we can do the same thing. So we want to just come all the way. We don't actually want to start at this edge here. We want to start from the glass, which is where I think I went wrong. So we just want to, first of all, we'll just dig out this, and then we dig one row down, then place the lime, then the other layer, then the oak leaves around. So now we have the exact same shape on both sides. Mission accomplished, that is the aviary complete. So next we have to mark out the next enclosure. Come all the way to the back middle of the aviary. We would typically dig 13 rows backwards from the middle of the aviary, but we don't want to make a mess. So 1, 2, 3, and now we can start digging. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Place a light grey concrete in there. We then want to dig in the ground to the right by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up, right, back by 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, left, up, left by 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, forwards, left, forwards by 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right, forwards, and then dig all the way to the right. So we can now fill this in with light grey concrete, and you will notice that this is almost identical to the first enclosure that we made over there. So next we want to place another layer of light grey concrete on top of our outline, just like so. We then want to add stone brick wall to the 4 corners of our circle. Always makes me chuckle when I think about the circle having corners. We then want to add iron bars in between all of the stone brick wall on each one of the 4 remaining sides of our circle. Then add a lantern inside of each one of the 4 corners, like this. And then we are going to dig all of the grass out of this enclosure. Then we are going to dig out this dirt layer and replace it with sand. Next, we are going to place a grass block right in the very centre of our enclosure, and then place a ring of grass around it. Extend each one of the 4 sides outwards, like so. And then we want to make the front right-hand corner-ish of the island that we have created sand, and the remaining area grass. Or vice versa, it doesn't matter at all. I'm going to bone meal it, add some turtle eggs, and then we are simply going to add water in the base of this. So, very much like with the original enclosure, we are just going to water the base and not the whole thing. And there we go, we will have some lovely turtles there later on. Just for reference, this is what the zoo looks like so far. We are doing a great job. So next, we are going to come all the way to the first exhibit that we made, and we are going to dig around the edge of it. We then want to replace all of those blocks with smooth stone. Then we are going to dig another layer around the edge of this. And then replace that also with smooth stone. So, the purpose of this is to look like that. And now that we have achieved this look, we want to come to the left middle side of our pathway, so right in the middle of the exhibit here. We then want to dig in the ground to the left 14 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We are then going to dig forwards and backwards. And we are going to fill these in using smooth stone. We then want to find, on the end here, this smooth stone block, and then count to the right, 1, 2, 3. And then dig towards the back of the build, 11 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Which we can then just fill in with some smooth stone like this. But on the end of that row, we want to place a spruce plank, which we can extend up by 3 rows. 1, 2, 3, just like this. And then we are going to extend backwards at the bottom 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then extend this block up to meet the height of the previous row. Extend backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then extend up to meet the height. Dig in the ground 1, 2, 3 rows and replace those with smooth stone. And then on the end of this row, we want to have a row of 1, 2, 3, 4 spruce planks extending up from the ground. Extend backwards by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up. Backwards by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then extend up like this. Connect the top of this together using spruce planks. And then fill The spacers on the left and right side, not including what will be the entrance, this middle area here, with dark oak fence. Then place dark oak signs in front of the fence like this. It creates kind of like this obscure, but you can still see view into this area. So traditionally speaking, this would be like a reptile house, but we are going to place all kinds of little creatures in here. But I think that this is a cool addition to the zoo. So, coming all the way to the front of the reptile house, we want to dig in the ground left of the spruce plank 1, 2, 3. Replace this with smooth stone. Left of this, we want to place a row of 6 spruce planks, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, extending up from the ground, like so. Then, we want to, left of this, place some stripped spruce wood, placed vertically like this, but on the end here would be another row of spruce, but instead, we are going to, as a placeholder, we will actually place 1, 2, 3 spruce planks like this so that it matches, but we'll change this into a different block in a little while. So this is what we want to have so far. And the idea would be from here, we want to place dark oak slabs along the back of this plank, extending off of this, forwards, and then inwards and upwards until it eventually apexes at the middle of the build here. And we want to have a similar thing on the front, so we want to have the overhanging slabs and then extend inwards and upwards like so. We then want to fill this panel in here using our stripped spruce wood like this. So just to give you a little look, there we go, that's looking really good. And we want to have the same thing on the back. So we will actually just extend spruce wood. So I guess it kind of depends, right? So we've got the terracotta here, right? Would it be better to extend the animal house, I guess I'll call it, down into the ground using spruce planks? Or would it be better to maintain the wall and build on top of it? Decisions. Regardless of this, I think that I'm just going to pretend that the wall isn't here. We'll just use the back of this building for the actual wall itself. And now that we've kind of like established that, we just want to copy what we have on this side onto this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe. And then we can extend the dark oak slabs all the way across the back. It takes a little while. And then we can extend in and up until we reach the apex of the roof. And we won't stop until we've just made the outline. There we go, and then if we add some vertically placed stripped spruce wood like this, that's looking really good. And what we also want to do is connect these two sides together. So from these spruce planks, we want to place 1, 2, 3 stripped spruce plank, 1, 2, 3, spruce plank, 1, 2, 3, spruce plank, 1, 2, 3, spruce plank, 1, 2, 3. Just like this, right? And then the spruce planks will actually extend upwards, and they could actually go as high as like here if we so chose, but that's probably a little bit too crazy. So if we just have like a row of 1, 2, 3 glass, and then we just have the spruce planks on top of here, and then we still actually want this row regardless, just for a bit of support. But yeah, so that's how all of these will be separated. And then we can place some stripped spruce wood like this. I think that will work out nicely. So we want to place stripped spruce wood as kind of like dividers in between each one of the little tiny enclosures. And they want to kind of like mirror the shape of the spruce wood that we have on the ends. So just make sure that that all lines up nicely. That is absolutely perfect. I'm not going to fill these in with glass just yet because then it'll be hard to get inside of them. But what I am going to do, which is probably a little bit counterproductive, is to add some shroom light to the tops of this. So the shroom light can just be placed in between the top 2 rows of the stripped spruce, like so. And then we're going to get a mixture of, it just because it's easier, a mixture of dark oak planks and dark oak slabs. And we are just going to fill the roof in like left to right. So add the planks in first, it's easier in my opinion, and then add these slabs to the sides of the planks, and that will form the roof. There we go. Perfect. So all I'm just going to do now as well, just so that we don't have to do it later, is just rip up the floor in here and replace it with smooth stone. And then we can work on each one of the little exhibits. Oh, plus I guess I'll also connect this path here as well to where we first started. If we stored a bunch of frogs in here, they'd be called X-ribbits. Huh? Yeah. Cringe. So, this first enclosure here is going to be an aquatic one. I'm going to fill the base of it in with podzol, and then I'm going to add a couple of stripped dark oak woods at the back here with an open dark oak fence gate. And we are going to have a bit of glass in here because, first of all, I'm going to have to add a little bit of water just around here, and hopefully that will settle. And it's kind of important to accept that we're going to have to destroy part of this and make a little bit of a mess just so that we can, like, get this placed properly. There we go, that's perfect. So now that we've done that, we can add a little bit of seagrass in here. If you're partial to it, a little bit of kelp. Not help, I need help. There we go, that's perfect. And then from the outside, it will just look like this. So I want 2 rows of water. We have the spruce across the top, and then we'll fill this in with glass a little bit later, but not until after we have placed our little friend in here. So this would be suitable for like frogs. And can we waterlog that block, by the way? The answer is no. So this, in my mind, is suitable for frogs and axototls. You can, of course, put anything that you want in there, but one of those I think would look excellent in here. So for this next one, we are going to add grass all the way at the bottom here, and then a dark oak fence in the corner with a couple of spruce leaves on top. We're then going to add a little perch in the form of an open dark oak fence gate, and then we are going to bone meal this a little bit, probably not too much, that might be okay, and then we are going to seal this up. So this is suitable for any sort of little forest animal, but I'm thinking bats would be cool. So for this next one, we are going to fill the base of it in using endstone, and then in the corner we're going to build up some endstone bricks, and we'll stick an endstone brick wall in the middle and maybe a purpose slab in the back, and then we can add a little bit of glass to this, and we are going to stick endermites in there. You could even shove a shulker in there as well. Next we have another aquatic one. This is going to be made pretty much in the exact same way as the other, except maybe we'll use a fence this time, and we definitely need the glass again as well. So let's add let's add a layer of water in first. This might be a little bit easier. Fence is a little bit better because you can actually waterlog it also, so we'll add a little bit of glass in here, and then this should be a little bit easier to handle than the other one. There we go. We did it in a bit of a smarter way. However, we now can't place the plants in here, so I'm going to place kelp where it can actually grow, and then a seagrass, and then there we go. That's great. So whatever we don't put in the other one, we will put in here, i.e. a frog or axototl. Now, last but not least, another fun one. We are going to place mossy stone bricks for the base, add a backwards iron door in the corner here, a couple of iron bars, or maybe a bunch of iron bars leading all the way up to the top here, a stone slab here, a cobble slab there. I'm thinking maybe even this wasn't part of the original plan, but it just seems as though that a stone brick wall would just go nicely here, and then we can fill the front of this up. And can you guys guess what we're going to stick in here? I'm thinking silverfish. And with that last little enclosure complete, we can now move on to the next part. And just for reference, this is what the zoo currently looks like from a bird's eye view, or as I should say, a spider's eye view. You will not believe how fast this is going to pull together once we have completed the next and last set of exhibits.
For the next part of the tutorial, we are going to need all of these materials right here. Some of these will be repeats, but a lot of them are not. We need these to make each one of the enclosures that we have on the right side of the build. However, before we start building these individual enclosures, we have to raise up the area around them. This is really easy to do. We want to begin by placing a layer of bricks on top of our terracotta. And then once we have placed a layer of bricks on top of all of these terracottas surrounding our enclosures, we then want to add a layer of oak leaves. The first enclosure that we are going to work on is all the way at the back of the zoo. It is going to be the ocelot enclosure. So first of all, we are going to seal it up using glass blocks. So just at the front of the actual pen itself, from the floor all the way up to the top of the oak leaves, we are going to place glass block. Inside of the actual enclosure itself, we are going to have a row of water that runs right in front of the glass. We are then going to build up a little mound using grass block and then grow some jungle trees. Bone meal the rest of the area, and there you'll find that you have a really nice ocelot enclosure. Moving down towards the front of the zoo, the next enclosure that we are going to make is for goats. So this is a little bit trickier because goats I have found to be escape artists. So we are going to dig down inside of the pen, 3-4 rows, and this will hopefully stop them jumping out. It doesn't help with the style of enclosure as we are going to build a little mini mountain in the center of it, hence why we have to dig down so far. So we are going to make the mountain and surrounding area out of podzol, stone and snow, and we are going to add some slab blocks just for a little bit of effect. You can even add a little bit of water if you like. But do remember to also clean up around and underneath the terracotta blocks so that we don't have any mismatches. But it's a very simple enclosure to make. Next, we have a desert-themed enclosure. This is for llamas. So first of all, we are just going to refloor the area using sand. We are going to use a sandstone stair to create a little mini river that runs from the back to the front of the enclosure, and we will have a small river just running across the front also. We'll also build up the area using a little bit of sand, some cactus, some dead bush, and that will be perfect. Next, we are going to make a panda enclosure. So first of all, we are going to make a bit of a sand mound along the back of the pen itself. Then we are going to dig a larger river than usual in the front of the enclosure, moving towards the back so that it all connects nicely. And then we are simply going to litter the area with bamboo, as much as you like. Next up is one of my favourites, and I don't even know why because it's so incredibly simple. This is a fox enclosure. So we are going to have a river that runs up front. We want to have a grass mound, but then we want to replace some of the grass ground with pods of. We want to spread plenty of spruce trees around the actual pen itself, and we want some sweet berry bushes as well. All of these want to be placed kind of like randomly, and they want to be densely placed. I want to create a nice sort of dark, ambient, spooky environment, but it's just, I really like the vibe of this in particular. Next, we are going to work on a nether-themed enclosure. This is for striders. First of all, we have to dig out all of the grass and replace it with a mixture of lava and netherrack. We essentially want to have a netherrack island in the center of the enclosure. We then want to place obsidian of different varieties in such a way that we have a kind of broken nether portal on the island. We then want to use some nylium and also some warped roots just to add a little bit of ambience. I will note that you will probably want to destroy underneath the terracotta boundary and replace it with terracotta because you can just see the dirt if you do look. It just looks a little bit better. Now, last but not least, really simple, we want a wolf enclosure. So, grass, water, oak trees, plenty of bone meal. That's it. Nice and simple. Now that we have successfully completed the last of the enclosures, the next thing that we are going to do is add some infrastructure to the zoo. I think it's far more simple to understand how the zoo pathway works if we look at it from a bird's eye view. So, on the right side of the zoo, in front of the animal enclosures, we want to have a smooth stone pathway that is 3 rows thick. This extends inside the walls from the front all the way to the back. Then we want to have rows of smooth stone pathway around the 3 center points inside of the zoo: the polar bear enclosure, the aviary, and the turtle enclosure. The polar bear and the turtle enclosure want to have 2 rings of smooth stone that extend all the way around the enclosures. The aviary wants a similar set of smooth stone, however we want to have 3 rows of it. So with this understood, we can then connect the pathway together, including to the reptile house, with rows of smooth stone that extend from the center points of each one of the 3 center points of the zoo. We want to have 3 rows of smooth stone that extends left and right of the 3 center enclosures, that connects to the right side of the zoo just in a straight line. However, the left side of the zoo, we have to make a right angle. But this is really easy to do, as the right angle simply connects to the smooth stone area that we already have inside of the reptile house. So that sounds rather complicated as I'm saying it out loud, but if you just watch how this unfolds, it's really logical and really simple. Not only that, we also have to connect to the entrance of the zoo, and we basically do this with a row of 5 smooth stone that just sits and extends from the polar bear enclosure in between the 2 rows of blue concrete that we have at the front of the zoo with the brick and hedge. And once you have successfully dug out and replaced all of those areas with smooth stone, we can move on to the next part. Now that we have successfully added footpaths all the way around the inside of the zoo, we now want to add some further details. The first of which is going to be lamps. So there are lamps in 4 positions in the zoo. They are, funnily enough, in each one of the 4 corners. So where we have these 2 sets of smooth stone footpaths here that connect to each other at a 90-degree angle, we want to place 1, 2 black stone wall in the corner here stacked on top of each other, sea lantern on top, and then a black carpet on top of that. And there we go. Nice, simple, modern looking lamp. We want to do the exact same thing all the way over here. So we want to have lamps in this corner here, sea lantern, black carpet on top, just opposite each other, the exact same way as we have them over there. And then as we come all the way over to the opposite side of the zoo, I think that you guys can see where we're going with this in the corner here. 2 wall on top of each other, sea lantern, black carpet. And then all the way over on this opposite side also. There we go, that's perfect. So now that we have successfully added lamps to each one of the 4 corners of the zoo, we want to do a similar thing with some flower beds. So come to any one of your pairs of lamps and you want to find the inward lamp, the one that is closest towards the centre of the zoo. Leave a gap of 1 extending inwards diagonally and place a brick slab. Then, extending towards the centre of the zoo, we want to extend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then across by 1, 2, 3, 4. Extend and join back. So we want to make a rectangle like this. We then want to dig out the centre of this, place podsol in there, poppies, and then spruce leaves. You can, of course, make all different kinds of flower beds, but I just so happen to like these. I also like the idea of embedding the leaves into the ground so that we can actually see the poppies as well. So you can add a bit of variation as you go around, but this is what I'm going to pretty much keep repeating in each one of the 4 corners. So just following the exact same method. There we go. Perfect. Another bit of detail that I want to add to the zoo is a seating area on the front and back of the aviary. So to do this, we want to grab spruce stairs and place a spruce stair on the outer part of the pathway here, right in the middle. Place a stair either side facing inwards, and then on one side leaving out, we want to have a cauldron with an oak trapdoor on top, and the other side a spruce fence with a spruce pressure plate. So nice little seating area, and we want to have the exact same thing on the opposite side, made in the exact same way. Perfect. Next, we are going to work on improving the entrance and the front of the zoo. So, first of all, the actual entrance area here, we have to extend the blue concretes that connect to the wall an additional row backwards, across, and then join forwards. We want to do this on both sides. So these are 2 little kiosks where we would, in theory, get our tickets if we needed to. So somewhere along these 2 kiosks, on the inside here, we are going to place an item frame with paper. Along the outsides of these, we are going to build up the walls on the outside and the back portion of these kiosks using 2 rows of blue concrete, just like this. We also have to devise an entrance into these, so I'm thinking maybe we just have a double door, like this. We destroy the floor inside, replace it with smooth stone, of course, like so. We also connect these just to the side so that we have a pathway that leads in and out of these kiosks, just like this. That's good, and then we put our doors on here, just like that, nice and simple. So we would probably have a chair in here with a chest which would contain more tickets and, you know, other things that one might find in a zoo entrance welcome kiosk. But we do also have to grab some glass as well, which I've conveniently forgotten, and we want to place some glass along the side here. You see, this might be better actually, so glass, and if we add some glass pane, so, like here, I think that that'll look better. So we'll build up glass just on the front of the kiosk mainly, add some pane next to where we have the ticket like this, and then that should look pretty good. We want to fill the inside top of the kiosks in using string. We'll also have to just do it above the ticket area also, and then we can blue carpet the top of these, and then I think we will have, I think that I've accidentally placed one somewhere. No. Okay. And then we'll have just 2 nice entrance kiosks. There we go. That's looking great. So if you are the kind of person that compulsively wants like an insane amount of detail everywhere, just detail upon detail upon detail, it's never enough, you can add some paintings inside of here as well. Or you could even add some maps, like if you did want to particularly add like a map, that might even be better than the paper. So some like map art of this actual area here, that would actually be really sick, but we're not going to do this in this particular video in the interest of time. We're also going to add some oak fence gates just inside the zoo here because we don't trust people to buy tickets without just running straight through. So originally I was going to add some car parking spaces outside of the zoo. I'm not actually sure whether we need them or not, but if you do want to make them, here is how I devised to make them. On the left and right sides of these kiosks, I want to have 2 rows of smooth stone, extending from the walls all the way to the front here. We also want to have 2 rows of smooth stone that lead all the way to the outer boundary as well, just like this. Now, if you are partial to car parking spaces, because you're just a parking fanatic, what we can do is in this corner here, extending outwards, and this works on both sides, you simply place 1, 2, 3 yellow carpet and then a white concrete powder. You keep repeating this process until you find out that you have ran out of space. It should happen fairly soon. There we go. So, all the way at the end here. So on the end, you have a few options, but you could place leaves or pods or with flowers in it, etc, etc. It doesn't really matter. The point is that we kind of devise a way that we run out of car parking spaces. You could even not have this white concrete here at all, white concrete powder, and you can double up on the leaves. You can add pods on the ground with flowers. Again, you know, any sort of little visual thing that you would like to add is completely valid. So we would, of course, do this on the opposite side also. So on this opposite side, we would have the 2 rows of smooth stone that lead not only across the front, but also to the front of the actual grid. So as we have actually made the grid large enough to accommodate a car park, I guess that we will add the spots, but I'm not finding that I find it necessary, but, you know. So this side is actually a little bit longer than the previous side. So what you could do, which is kind of like a throwback to the inside of the zoo, is add a row of pods on right up the middle of this empty row of space of 3, and then leaves either side, which is kind of mirroring what we have over there. So again, not everything must be symmetrical. The entire zoo is purposefully not symmetrical anyway. So what we would then do, of course, from here is extend the white concrete powder forwards like this to the boundary, fill the center of the car parking spaces in with grey concrete. We would fill the remaining areas in using smooth stone, and that is how that would work.
You know, now that I have actually added the car parking spaces, I really do like them. It does add a lot of contrast between that and the actual walls of the zoo, so I'm pretty happy with the decision so far. Now, the last little thing that we are going to do to the walls of the zoo before we make the entrance really, really cool is add a layer of bricks and then oak leaves on top of the terracotta wall that borders the zoo. Next, we are going to build the rest of the entrance once and for all. So to do that, we need all of these materials right here. So what we are essentially going to do is build a nice big 3D sign that features 3 different animal heads, only one of which actually exists in Minecraft, and we will then have an actual proper sign that says a zoo behind it. So place a brown terracotta extending from this position right here. We actually want a row of brown terracotta that kind of connects both of these kiosks together diagonally. We then want to extend the brown terracotta forwards a row. Take these 3 middle blocks here, place yellow terracotta in front of them. Place one on top of the middle block, black concrete either side, yellow concrete on top. We then want to place a cyan terracotta in front of the bottom middle block here with yellow terracotta either side. We then want to place brown terracotta extending up and around the outside of the yellow terracotta face, and then yellow terracotta extending upwards and outwards diagonally from the top of the head, just like this. We then want to extend the brown terracotta backwards an additional row, extend a row around like this, fill it in. So we don't really need the head to be that thick. I think that will be sufficient. We then want to grab white concrete. Oh, I should also mention, if you guys can't figure it out, hopefully you can, otherwise I've not done a great job. That is a lion. We now want to make a panda. So to make the panda, we want to locate this terracotta block here. So middle block, one up from the middle. Place 1, 2, 3 white concrete extending outwards, and then a white concrete on top of these middle blocks, black concrete either side, white concrete on top like this. Extend the entire face area backwards a couple of rows to make a cube, just like this. We then want to place black concrete, extending around the middle corner block at the top. So we want the same thing on the opposite side where we can place it anyway. I mean, if you want, you can build it into the back of the lion's mane. That's kind of up to you. But from the front, it looks like this, which is great. We then want to place a cyan terracotta in front of the bottom middle block here with a white concrete either side. It's worth mentioning, if you want these to look a little bit cuter, you don't actually have to place the concrete or terracotta blocks either side of the nose, but again, it's kind of like the look that you want to look for. It's completely up to you. Anyway, next, we want to make an elephant. So the elephant starts on the opposite side, and we want to locate the block higher than the one that we started from last time. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but this one right here, essentially. We want to place 1, 2, 3 light grey concretes extending outwards, extend the middle block up, black concrete either side, light grey concrete on top like this, and then we want to extend the entire back of the face backwards by 2 rows, just like this, to form a cube. We then want to place cyan terracotta around the corners of the middle of the head like this to form ears. Now the cool thing about the elephant is that we have a trunk, so we want to take the bottom middle block here and place 2 light grey concrete extending out, extend down, forwards, down. So the end result will look like this, which looks pretty cool. So we're actually going to have it just kind of like float because, you know, this is Minecraft. Who cares if it doesn't actually connect anywhere? That's not the point, guys. The point is that it looks cool, in my opinion. I kind of want to have like water flowing from this nose and then kind of have a pool area here, but, you know, I don't think it'd make sense. We'd have to swim into the entrance. Anyway, so to progress on to the next part of the entrance, we need to grab stone brick wall, loom, white banners, black dye. Throw down a loom, open it up, place a white banner in there with some black dye. We want to write Z. Horizontal row black at the top and the bottom of the banner, diagonal row, top right corner to bottom left corner, Z. Next will be O. This is going to be a vertical row of black on the left side, the right side, and a horizontal row across the top and along the bottom. So we have ZO here. So theoretically, we would need to have another O, but, well, I'm in creative mode, so, you know. Oh, we also need the white concrete as well. So grab your stone brick wall, and we want to place stone brick wall extending up from the inward two corners of the back of our kiosks. And the stone brick wall wants to extend up kind of high. So it wants to extend up high, and we want to place white concrete in between, like this, right? In between the top pair of stone brick wall. And we're going to extend the stone brick wall upwards so that we can have 2 rows of white concrete like this that are higher than the top of the actual sign, to which we would then be able to write zoo in the middle. And I think that that kind of just puts a nice finish on it, and I think that it kind of, well, I mean, if you guys can't figure out that this is a zoo from this, I mean, I don't think that we'll ever know. Now that we have made the entire outside of the zoo, we are going to head inside for a final time, and I'm going to show you some final details that we can add that will really make this place just a little bit better. Each one of the 4 things that I'm about to show you how to make will be possible to build from this video. However, it will be easier if you do check out the separate tutorials. I'll leave links for them at the appropriate times in the description. So first of all, we have a cotton candy stand. I think that this speaks for itself. Every zoo should have one of these. We also have a hot dog stand. Now we're going to make an ice cream stand. And last but not least, a balloon stand. With all of those fun stands and stores added to the zoo, there is only one thing left to do, and I've been pretty excited about this. So the first enclosure that we are going to fill is the first exhibit that we find as we enter the zoo, the polar bear enclosure. So a couple of these guys in here will work just nicely. Hello, new friends. Moving over into the reptile house, we are first of all going to add an axototl. We should probably seal this up as we add these guys. We are then going to add a couple of bats. In this next one, we are going to add a couple of endermites. In this next one, we are going to add a couple of frogs. And in this one, we are going to add a couple of silverfish. Perfect. Well, perhaps just one silverfish. Moving towards the center of the zoo, we are going to place some parrots in the aviary. I want to make sure that this door is closed. I think 7 is a good number, and we have a... Well, there's a lot of blue guys in here, but you know, we've got a few different colours as well. Perfect, I think 7's a good number. Look at this. Make sure that both of these doors are closed. At the back of the zoo, we are going to have a couple of turtles. Now, finally, for all of these exhibits here running from the front of the zoo to the back of the zoo, we are going to have a couple of ocelots in this one. Then moving down, a couple of goats. Then in this next one, a couple of llamas. Preferably they will not kill themselves on the cacti. A couple of pandas in this one. I'm going to replace that panda that is imminently going to suffocate in the wall. Okay, I guess we have 3 pandas. This doesn't look big enough to accommodate the... A couple of foxes in this one. Adorable. Some striders in this one. Huh! What are the odds of that? And a couple of wolves in this one. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, the tutorial has been completed. I do hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please do remember to like and subscribe. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.